Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is me, Miss Aisha Manzoor, and you all are watching my channel Chemistry Solutions. So today in this lesson we are going to attempt the paper from Cambridge O level exam paper 1 5070 variant 1 to October November 24. So this paper contains 40 MCQs. So first MCQ is helium gas and argon gas are mixed in a closed container at room temperature and pressure. So what happens when the two gases are in the container? We are talking about the helium and argon, both are the noble gases. Argon and helium atoms become evenly mixed throughout the container even though they have a different masses. Yes, because gases are going to occupy the spaces in an available container. So argon and helium atoms become evenly mixed. Yes, definitely they will be evenly mixed throughout the container. So this option is correct, seems correct. Argon and helium atoms both move towards the bottom of the container. No, this one is the wrong. Argon and helium atoms both move towards the bottom of the container. No. The helium atom settles more quickly. No. Argon atom move to the bottom of the container because they are heavier. Helium atom, no. As you people know, the temperature at room temperature and pressure, gases will be evenly mixed in the container. So this option is correct for us. So second MCQ is substance X has a simple molecular structure and substance Y has a giant covalent structure. First of all, you people must know that simple molecular structures are the simple covalent molecules, and we can say that a molecule can be of one element, molecule can be of two elements. So it depends upon the nature of the molecule. For example, if we are talking about the simple molecule, it can be Cl2 and it can be HCl. Now come towards the giant covalent structure. It can be only carbon element like diamond and graphite and graphene. Graphene. In this case, only carbon is the element which is responsible for the giant covalent structure. But if we are moving towards the another giant covalent structure, that is silica, so this basically contains SiO2. So this one is a compound with a giant covalent structure and C is the an element. Now look at the options. X could be, X is a simple covalent molecule, can be an element only. No, it can be a compound. So D is the correct option. An element is or a compound, or Y can be an element or a compound. The diagram shows an atom of element Z. Which element for element Z is correct? Okay. You can count number of electrons. As you know that number of protons are equal to the number of electrons. So we can write protons are equal to electrons. So 2, 8, 10 and 3, 13. So there are electrons that are 13. So similar number of protons are there in an atom, that are 13. And if we are talking about the neutrons, then 15 are the neutrons. So atomic mass will be 28. So Z will be C with 13 electrons and protons and 28 of its atomic mass. Next question is, a sample of element Q contains two isotopes. The diagram shows the relative abundances and relative masses of the two isotopes. So the maximum abundance of the elements are given to us, that is the 6. Okay. So 20 multiplied by 1, 22 multiplied by 5. So we can multiply 20 multiplied by 1, you can divide it by 6, that is the total number, plus 22 multiplied by 5, divided it by 6. You can collectively, or you can write it like this: 20 multiplied by 1 plus 22 multiplied by 5 divided by 6. You can write it like this, and answer will be 21.667, and if you will round it off, answer will be D, that is 21.7. What is the relative atomic mass? Which statement about electrical conductivity is correct? Covalent compounds such as glucose. Which statement about electrical conductivity is? Covalent compounds do not conduct electricity. Only graphite is the covalent compound which can conduct electricity. Graphite is only a non-metal which conduct the electricity. Okay, again I will do it. Which statement about electrical conductivity is correct? Covalent compounds such as glucose conduct covalent compounds do not conduct electricity, so this option is wrong. Dilute acids and such as sulfuric acid conduct because all the ions are free to move. So in B they are saying that in acids all the acids are free. In acids all the ions are free to move. Yes, because in dilute they are aqueous, sulfuric acid, so ions are present over there. B is a correct option when ions are responsible to conduct electricity. Ionic compounds such as sodium chloride conduct electricity by the movement of electrons. No, by the movement of ions. Metals such as copper conduct due to the movement of positive ions. No, because due to the movement of free moving electrons or delocalized electrons. Okay. Which substance is not malleable and conduct electricity? By the movement of electrons through a lattice of atoms. Which substance is not malleable? Okay, so aqueous sodium chloride is not conduct electricity because of the movement of electrons. Not the graphite conduct electricity and conduct electricity by the movement of electron, not the solid sodium chloride. So correct option is C. What is the relative molecular mass of ethene? So in order to solve this question, you all must know what is the formula of ethene. Ethene has a formula, that is C2H4. So now come towards the option, the average mass of the isotope carbon and hydrogen compared to carbon 12 of the mass. No, this is the formula definition of atomic mass, but this is one is the wrong. The atomic number of the, no, wrong. We cannot compare with the atomic numbers with the atomic mass of carbon 112. Twice the AR of C plus 4 times AR of EH. Yes, twice the AR of C, meaning we have to multiply it by 2, twice the AR of C, and 4 times H4, 4 times hydrogen atom. So this one is correct option C. Twice the atomic mass of carbon plus 6 atoms. No, see, not the 6 atoms. 6 atoms will be of ethane, not the ethene. What is the relative molecular mass of N2O? So if we can see what is the relative molecular mass of N2O, we can calculate it. N2O, 14 multiplied by 2 plus 16, 28 plus 16, 28 plus 16, answer is 44. So our answer is 44, that is C. Okay. Now come towards the question number 9, which contains the greatest mass of oxygen? 0.2 mole of aluminum nitrate, 0.3 mole of potassium sulfate, 0.4 mole of sodium nitrate, and 0.5 mole of magnesium carbonate. So for this we have to calculate it. Let me calculate. Okay, for this question number 9, we have to calculate the greatest mass of oxygen. I think so the space is not enough. We have to move towards the board. So look at this, 0.2 mole of aluminum nitrate. I will tell you the which method we will apply. So first of all, we will check how many moles are there. In 1 mole of how many oxygen atoms are there. So in AlNO3 or 3. So in 1 mole of aluminum nitrate, there are 3 threes are 9 atoms of oxygen. So in 0.2 mole, how many moles of oxygen atoms will be there? So in 1 mole, there are 9 moles of atoms are there. So we can calculate it by multiplying it. 0.2 multiplied by 9 is equal to 1.8. So if we have to calculate the mass of oxygen, we will multiply this 1.8 by 16. So answer will be 28.8 gram. Now let me check the question. For the second part, we have to calculate the oxygen mass of oxygen for 0.3 mole of potassium sulfate. So in 1 mole of potassium sulfate, the oxygen atom we will have, there are 4 oxygen atom, and in 0.3, how many of you, how many? Okay, we will calculate it. 0.3 multiply by 4, 1.2 mole of oxygen, and then we have to calculate the mass. To calculate the mass, we have to multiply 1.2 multiply by 16 to get the mass of, that is 19.2 gram. Now if we will see the third part of the question, the question is C part. For C part, the question is 0.4 mole of sodium nitrate. So in 1 mole of sodium nitrate, we have 3 mole of oxygen atom. So for 0.4 mole, how many oxygen atoms will we have? Okay. 0.4 multiplied by 3, 1.2. To calculate the mass, multiply this 1.2 multiplied by 16 atomic mass of, again, 19.2 gram of mass of this question. Now move towards the part 4. See, that one is the D. For option D, 0.5 mole of magnesium carbonate. So for 1 mole of magnesium carbonate, how many oxygen atom we have? We have 3 mole of oxygen atom. For 0.5, how many moles of oxygen are there? 0.5 multiplied by 3, answer will be 1.5 mole. So if we have to calculate the mass of oxygen, then multiply 1.5 into 16, answer will be 24 gram. So now we have to check overall which mass is greater and which mass is not. So if we will say that the answer will be 28.8 gram, this one will be answered because this will have a greater mass of the substances here. So this is the answer, 28.8 gram is our answer. So correct option of R is option A. MCQ number 10, compound Z contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen only. Okay. What is the empirical formula of Z? So let's calculate the empirical formula. Z, compound Z contain carbon, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen only, where the value of carbon is given 48.65 and 8.11 percentage of hydrogen is given to us. If we have to calculate the percentage of oxygen, first of all we will add both of these and subtract from 100. 48.65 plus 8.11. Let me calculate it. 48.65 plus 8.11. Answer will be 56.76. If we will subtract this value, 100 minus 56.76, 100 minus 56.76, then we will get the value 43.24. Now we have to move on, get the moles of carbon. We have to calculate 48.65 divided by 12, 8.11 divided by 1 by the atomic mass of hydrogen atom. Oxygen, for oxygen atom 43.24, divide it by 16. So we have to calculate at 48.65 divided it by 48.65 divided by 12. Answer is 4.05. 8.11 for 43.24 divided it by 16. We will get the answer 2.70. So we have to divide all of these values by the least value, that is the, if you will see, the least value is 2.70. So we have to divide it by 2.70. All the values will be divided by the least value. So 4.05 divided by 2.70. Answer is 1.5. 8.11 divide it by 2.70. Answer is 3 and 1. So 1.5 is the figure which is not basically it is given in the decimal, so we have to multiply it by 2. Why we are multiplying it by 2? By dividing it we will get the rounded value, that is 3. We have to multiply all the values with this 2. So 3 2s are 6 and 2. The formula will be C3, H6 and O2. Now come towards our MCQ. C3, H6 and O2. So B is a correct option for this question. So you must know and get to know how to calculate the how to calculate the empirical formula of Z. Which fertilizers contains the highest percentage by mass of nitrogen? So now we have to calculate the percentage composition of all the compounds, percentage of nitrogen in all the compounds. So we will see which compound will have the greatest number. Here is the less space, so let me write it on the board. So in the question we have we have ammonium nitrate. Molecular mass of all the compounds in this is given. We have ammonium nitrate, ammonium phosphate. This is for A, B, C, that is ammonium sulfate, and D, that is our urea. Now look at these fertilizers, and now we have to calculate the percentage composition of nitrogen, highest percentage by mass of nitrogen. So atomic masses are given. Percentage of nitrogen, if we will calculate by mass of it, 14 multiplied by 2 hydrogen atoms divided by MR is given to us of for ammonium nitrate, that is 80 into 100. Let me calculate. First let me write for all, then I will calculate. Percentage of nitrogen, how many nitrogen atoms are there? 3. 14 multiplied by 3 and MR molecular mass of this compound is given in question, that is 149 into 100. Then again percentage of nitrogen we have to calculate. By mass there are 2 atoms, 14 multiplied by 2 divided by ammonium sulfate MR is given, that is 132 into 100. Now percentage of nitrogen here, 14 into 2 divided by 60 into 100. So now let me calculate the values. 14 multiplied by 2 divided by 80 multiplied by 100. So value is given here is 35%. Then for this 14 into 3 divided it by 149 into 100, 28.1%. For ammonium sulfate, 14 multiplied by 28 divided by 132. Answer is 21.2, and for 14 times 2 divided it by 60 into 100. So you all will clearly identify that which substance is going to highest mass of highest percentage by mass of nitrogen. So if you will see that our answer is basically 46%, that is the option D. So look at this, 48%, our answer is D. Okay, so this is the answer, that is the 46%. So now come towards the next question. An electrolytic cell is shown, platinum anode, platinum cathode, dilute sulfuric acid. Means they have the inert electrodes. So which statement is correct about it? Electrons move from cathode to anode. No, anode to cathode. This one is wrong. Hydrogen ions gain electron, not lose electrons. In the electrolyte, positive ions move to the cathode, yes, and negative ions move to the anode, yes. Why? Because cathode is the negatively charged electrode and anode is the positively charged electrode. D. The hydroxide ions in the electrolyte move to the cathode. No, move towards the anode because it is negatively charged and it has to move towards anode, not at the cathode. Which ionic equation describes the change occurring at the anode? When? Okay, an aqueous copper nitrate and silver nitrate is electrolyzed. Which ionic half equation describes the change occurring at anode? So anode is basically a positively charged electrode. So which ion? An aqueous mixture of copper nitrate and silver nitrate electrolyte with the pure copper electrodes. Okay. When we have the electrodes of copper, then in that case anode will not take up the electron from the solution, from the ions of the solution. Anode itself lose its electron. Why? Because this one is not the inert electrode. So A is basically a correct option for this reaction. What is the disadvantage of using a hydrogen oxygen fuel cell to power a car? Gasoline, petrol is a non-renewable resource. What is the advantage and disadvantage? What is the disadvantage of using hydrogen oxygen fuel cell? So this one is not the disadvantage. The hydrogen tank may split in an accident leading to an explosion. Yes, definitely. Why? Because hydrogen is a flammable gas. So that's why whenever hydrogen tank split, it can cause a major accident, major explosion. So that's why. The product of reaction between oxygen and hydrogen is toxic. No, that is the eco-friendly. Only water is the byproduct. The oxygen is obtained from air. Not oxygen is not obtained from air right now. We are talking about the disadvantage of using hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Okay, so the disadvantage is basically how oxygen is produced from air is not the disadvantage. So question number 15, which chemical reaction X takes place, thermal energy is given out? Which row is correct to this reaction? So definitely when thermal reaction is given out, the reaction will be exothermic. So reaction is exothermic, maybe this one. More energy is required to break. No, not more energy is required. More energy is released. More energy is released to the surrounding. So this option is wrong. Less energy is required. Yes, and more energy released. This in bond form. Always remember energy released in bonds formation, not in the bonds breaking. Which statement about a physical change is correct? A physical change is impossible to reverse. In a physical change, the appearance of a substance may change. Yes, physical change may cause this, na? In physical change, this option is correct. New substances are formed. No, there is no energy released or taken in during physical change. No, physical melting, boiling, all of these changes are physical changes, but we cannot say that energy is not releasing or absorbing. So this option is wrong. So these are the wrong options. B is correct option. So this one is a little tricky question. You all must know how to attempt it. Gas P decomposes to form gas Q. Okay, there are two gases, P and Q. Two experiments are done to investigate the rate of reaction. The conditions are the same except that two different temperatures T1 and T2 are used. The results are plotted on graph. Okay. Which row is correct? First of all, we must know that the XP or YQ. Okay. Let's solve this question. We have to give the moles of X and Y. XP, YQ. Okay. If I'm not wrong, Q is the... Okay. So we can check again. XPYQ. Okay. Now first of all we have to look at the graph. Steeper the curve shows that the greater the temperature. So in T1 temperature is showing the more greater turn. You can see the gradient shows by this gradient. Steeper the curve shows the temperature is high, meaning T1 is higher than T2 as T2 shows the gradient is showing the less steeper. So that's why in T2 the temperature is low. So this option is for us is better, for T1 is higher than T2. First part is covered. Now come towards the counting of the boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So whereas this is about the P. This is about P. If you will see the 6 for P. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 for Q. For P 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And for P there are 6. And for Q there are 9 boxes. So we will simplify it. 3 2s are 6, 3 3s are 9. So if we have calculated the moles, so we can write here 3x and 2x and 3q. So the value of x is 2 and for y it is 3. So this question, as examiner said, students proved little bit, students feel as examiner point of view, this question is not solved for all of these students. So this question is little bit challenging. Now move towards question number 18. Samples of nitrogen and hydrogen are reacted and allowed to reach equilibrium. The equation is shown. The temperature is increased and a new equilibrium is established. Which statement about the new equilibrium is correct? The amount of product increases, the amount of product decreases. The rate of forward reaction is greater than the rate of reverse reaction. The rate of the forward reaction is less than the rate of reverse reaction. The temperature is increased. When we will increase the temperature in reversible reaction, reaction will move in the favor of that direction where reaction is endothermic. So for here we can see that if reaction will move in the backward direction, as it is exothermic, forward is exo, backward is endo. So reaction will move in the backward direction because backward reaction is endothermic. So by increasing the temperature, reaction will move in the favor of endothermic side. So the amount of product will decreases when reaction will start move in the backward direction. In the diagram, R represents one of the reaction in the contact process. Which statement is correct? Gas Z is SO2. Yes, SO2 reacts with O2 to give us SO3, sulfur trioxide. Okay. Iron catalyst speed up the reaction. In R, no. In R, the pressure is approximately 200 atm, no. In the R, the temperature is approximately 45 degrees centigrade, no. So in contact process, not the iron is a catalyst. Vanadium pentoxide is used and the temperature is 1 to 2 atmospheric pressure with 450 degrees centigrade temperature. So these options are not correct. So next question is per oxo disulfate ions react with iron 2 ions. The only elements that are either oxidized or reduced in this reaction are sulfur and iron. The only element that are either oxidized or reduced in this reaction are sulfur and iron. Okay. Which row is correctly? You can see that Fe2 ion 2 plus is but increase in oxidation state and loss of electron, increase in oxidation state and loss of electrons shown by the iron. So iron is basically the substance which is oxidized. Fe2 plus Fe3. So the element that is reduced, if iron is oxidized, so sulfur is reduced. Okay, one point is clear to us. So behavior of S2O8 minus, as S2O8 minus, this is, if we can calculate the oxidation state of sulfur, it's not a very big task. The charge on -2 will be equal to -2. We have to calculate the oxidation state of sulfur. -2 multiplied by 8 atoms of oxygen, -2. Then S2, 2 8s are -16, -2, +16. So +14 divided by 2, 7. So here the oxidation state of sulfur is +7. Now come towards SO42 minus. SO42 minus, -2 4s are 8 is equal to -2. S is equal to -2 plus 8. Answer will be +6. So sulfur is reduced because of the decrease in oxidation state. So it will be reduced or gain electron. The substance which is being reduced is basically the oxidizing agent. So sulfur is the element that is reduced sulfur, and the substance which is being reduced is the oxidizing agent. So C is a correct option for it. Which solid reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce a gas? Copper is least reactive. Carbon is a non-metal, not reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid like this to produce gas, so it will not react. Copper is least reactive. Magnesium oxide will form salt and water. This is not correct. Sodium carbonate reacts with HCl to produce a gas, that is the carbon dioxide gas. So correct option is D. Which 1 mole per decimeter cube aqueous solution has the highest pH? Always remember that highest pH not goes along with the acidic character. It is goes highest pH means above 7. If we're talking about the highest pH, it will be alkaline. So not the highest pH of HCl, not the sodium chloride is a neutral. Sodium hydroxide is an alkali, so it will have the highest pH. That is the sodium hydroxide. Not the sulfuric acid has the highest pH. Sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid will have the lowest side pH. Oxide Q reacts with separate samples of dilute hydrochloric acid and aqueous potassium hydroxide. Both reactions produce salt and water. Okay. The major question is given in the statement, that is Q reacts with separate samples dilute hydrochloric acid and aqueous potassium hydroxide. So Q is basically reacting with both acid and alkali. So if it reacts with both acid and alkali, so we will call it as an amphoteric oxide. The table shows 4 methods used to prepare pure salts, which row shows a method of making a pure sample of each salt. Okay. Copper 2 sulfate, acid plus carbonate, acid plus metal, precipitation and titration method. Copper sulfate, yes, it can be. Magnesium sulfate, acid plus metal, yes, okay. Magnesium is a metal. It comes in the metals that are Mazi. Magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron or tin are the metals which reacts with dilute acids. Silver chloride is a insoluble salt, so it will be prepared by precipitation method. Titration, sodium chloride, because highest most reactive metal, the sodium hydroxide can react with acid to produce salt and water. Question number 25. Which property determines the order of the element in the proper periodic table? So you all must know that the number of protons is basically determine the order of the elements in the periodic table. So after reading these statements, you will come towards this point that basically D is correct option, because number of protons in the nucleus are responsible to determine the order of the reaction. Which statement explains why helium and neon are unreactive? They are both gases at room temperature and pressure. They are both gases at room temperature, pressure. Helium and neon. They both have 8 electrons in there. Basically, you all must read this statement very carefully, because why they are unreactive, we have to justify this point. Both are their gases, not justifying this statement. They both have 8 electrons in the outer shell. No. Helium has 2 electrons. Why neon has 8 valence electrons? So this one is also wrong. They both have equal number of protons and electrons in their atoms. They both have equal number of electron and proton. No, they do not have equal number of electrons and proton. They both have all their occupied electron shells completely filled. This one is because their outermost shell is complete. So that's why they are noble gases and said to be unreactive. Substance X conducts electricity in the solid state. Which statement is correct? S conducts electricity by the movement of electrons between layers of negative ions. What X is? X is malleable. What does it tells us? That the X is a metal, and metal has positively charged ion and negatively charged electron. So electrons move to conduct electricity. So these electrons are the delocalized electrons. So A option, X conducts electricity by the movement electrons between layers of negative, no. Negative ions, no. Negative electrons between positively charged ions. X conducts electricity by the movement of positive ion through, no, not the positive ions do not move. X has a giant lattice of positive ions in a sea of delocalized electron. X has a giant lattice of positive ion. Yes. X has these are the positively charged ions, these are the delocalized electrons. So this option is correct, that X has a giant lattice. In the last option, X has a layer of atoms with delocalized electrons, but between the layers, no. Aluminum and copper are good conductor of electricity. Why aluminum used in overhead electricity cables instead of copper? So what is the reason behind it? We will tell you. Aluminum is above copper in the reactivity series. No, this is not the reason why we are using. Aluminum is less dense copper. Yes, this is basically they are very good conductor of electricity because they have 3 delocalized electrons and they are very less dense. So because of the density of aluminum, it's used in the overhead cables. Copper does not have an oxide coating. Copper reacts with water. No, these options are not correct. The oxide of zinc is reduced by heating with carbon. What is Z? Aluminum, calcium, magnesium and zinc. So first of all, I will tell you about the reactivity series. Kamal never calls me at City Zoo. Okay. So we have to check that which metal, the metals which will above carbon atom will not react with the carbon. So aluminum, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, calcium, magnesium all are above in the reactivity series, where Z is not very much reactive than carbon. So that's why D is correct option. That is zinc. A metal ore contains an oxide MO. Metal M forms colored compounds. When a piece of iron is placed into a solution containing M2 plus ions, M is displaced. Which row is correct? Okay. This one is the transition metal oxide. A metal ore contains an oxide MO. Metal M forms colored compounds. When a piece of iron is placed into a solution containing M2 ions, M is displaced. Which row is correct? So we have to see the properties of transition metals. So correct option for this is density high. Yes, transition metals have high density. High density. Yes, here high. Possible method of extraction of M. Electrolysis. No. Electrolysis on heating with carbon. Yes. As you know that the if compound of iron, if we have iron as a transition metal, so it can be reduced by the carbon. So this B is a correct option. Iron can be extracted from the ore hematite. What is the maximum mass of iron that is produced from 500 kg of hematite? Okay, we have to calculate this question. We have to move towards the board. Okay, there are three steps to solve this question. Number one, we have to calculate the moles of which fertilizer contains, oh sorry, not the fertilizer, let me get the question. That is the, okay, we have to calculate the mass of iron. What is the maximum that is produced from 500 kilogram of hematite? So for this we have to write the equation first. Fe2O3 reacts with carbon monoxide and gives us 2Fe plus 3CO2, 336 and 3CO2. Okay, so this is basically the reaction which we have to follow to calculate the mass of iron, because the iron can be extracted from the ore hematite. This is the ore that is called as the hematite. Okay, now move on. First of all, the value which is given to us, that is 500 kilogram of hematite. Moles of Fe2O3 we have to calculate. In order to calculate moles of Fe2O3, we know the molecular mass of Fe2O3, that is 56 multiplied by 2 plus 16 into 3. Let me tell you the answer. 56 multiplied by 2 plus 48, 160. So 500 kilogram, we have to convert this 500 kg into gram by 500 multiplied by 10 raised to power 3 gram. So in order to calculate the moles, we will use 500 into 10 raised to power 3 gram divided it by 160 mR of Fe2O3. So 500 divided it by 160, answer will be 3.125 moles of Fe2O3. So second step is the ratio method, because if we have to move from here to here, we have to use the moles of it. So 1 mole of Fe2O3 and 2 moles of Fe. Fe2O3, Fe. 2 moles of Fe, 1 mole of Fe2O3. Okay. For 3.125 moles, how many moles of iron will be there? So we have to multiply this value with the 2. So 6.25 mole of Fe has been calculated. Now if we have to calculate the mass of iron, for this we have to multiply 6.25 into the atomic mass of iron, that is 56. 6.25 multiplied by 56, answer will be 350 gram. Oh sorry, what we will do up till now, we didn't use 10 raised to power 3 in the calculation. So for this, what we will do, we will use all of the values. For along with all the values, we will write this value 10 raised to power 3. 6.25 into 10 raised to power 3. So if we will write the kilogram, it will be the value 350 multiplied by 10 raised to power 3 gram. So for kilogram, it will be 350. We will remove this 10 raised to power 3. It will convert back into the kilogram, 350 kilogram. So this is the mass of iron, that is 350 kilogram. So this is the, along with this, we will write the value 3.125 into 10 raised to power 3 mole. Okay, so you people can see and take the screenshot of it to calculate this question. This is the overall reaction question which is given to us. So now we will move towards our question, which answer will be of it. So answer will be C, that is our 350 kilogram. So these are the steps which are involved to calculate the question number 31. Which row describes an advantage and a disadvantage of fertilizer? So fertilizers advantages are deoxygenation of water, improve plant growth, yes, C and D may improve plant growth is correct. Now come towards the disadvantage. Disadvantage is damage to aquatic life, yes, definitely. Addition of nitrogen to the air, no. C is the correct option. Which row about the adverse effects of air pollutants is correct? Air pollutants. So, methane increased global warming. Yes, because methane is a greenhouse gas. It increased the global warming. First, this one is correct. Increased global warming here as well. Oxides of nitrogen, respiratory problems. Yes, not the cancer. Particulates, yes, create cancer. Yes, particulates are basically causes cancer. So option A is correct. How many different unbranched esters have the molecular formula C4H8O2? How many different unbranched have the molecular formula C4H8O2? Okay, we'll check it. So we have to draw. There are 4 and you all must know what is the formula of ester. This. Okay, 1 alcohol and 1 carbonate atom is here. So you can calculate 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hydrogen atom and 4 carbon along with 2 oxygen atom. One shape is like this. We have to form the unbranched. Okay. It can be, this one is methyl propanoate. Another one can be ethyl propanoate. 1, 2, 3, 4 ethyl propanoate. Let me. One, two, three, 4. Okay, 4 carbon atoms are there. It can be ethyl propanoate. Another one. It can be methanoate, propyl 1. Oh, sorry. Yes, it can be propyl methanoate. So these are the 3 molecular structures which can be formed by the unbranched. The question is unbranched. Okay, so how many unbranched esters? Molecular formula C4H2O, that will be, it will be 3. Petroleum is separated in a fractionating column. Which statements are correct? Okay, let me raise it. Okay, petroleum is separated in a fractionating column. Which statements are correct? The compounds at the top of the column are more volatile and have lower boiling points. Yes, this thing is correct to us. The compounds at the bottom of the column are more viscous. Yes, this one is also correct. This one is correct. This one is correct. The chain length of the molecules at the bottom of the column are shorter. No, longer. So this one is wrong. So correct option is 1 and 2 only. Which statement about hydrocarbons is correct? Alkenes are unsaturated, which means that they are less soluble in water than alkanes. Okay, alkenes are unsaturated, which means that they are less soluble in water than alkanes. No, it doesn't mean that they are less soluble in water. They are covalent molecules, so that's why they are insoluble in water. Alkenes contain higher percentage by mass of carbon than alkanes. Yes. Alkenes contain higher percentage by mass of carbon than alkane. Cracking large alkanes produce only small alkanes and hydrogen. No, they can produce alkene. Wrong. The presence of a double bond in an alkene means that 1 mole of alkene will react with exactly 8.0 gram of bromine. So for this you have to check, but we have got the correct option over there. That is, the alkenes contain higher percentage by mass of carbon than alkenes. Why? Because alkene starts with 2 carbon atoms and alkanes will have with 1 carbon atom. Two statements are shown. When ethanol is made from glucose by fermentation, each glucose molecule produces 2 molecules of ethanol. Okay. Yes, this one is correct. How? I will write the equation here. If we have C6H12O6 and we will use the fermentation in the presence of yeast, it will give us 2 molecules of ethanol plus carbon dioxide gas. So it is going to give us 2 molecules of ethanol, correct? When ethanoic acid is made from ethanol, the ethanol acts as a reducing agent. When ethanoic is converted into ethanol, and you people must know that the oxidation of ethanol produce ethanoic acid. So that's why this is correct. Which description of these statements is correct? Statements 1 and 2 are both true. Yes, both are true. In a titration, a 25.0 centimeter cube sample of 0.100 mole per decimeter cube is exactly neutralized by 16.2 centimeter cube of sulfuric acid. The equation for the reaction is shown. What is the concentration of the sulfuric acid? Maybe I can solve this question here. Okay. NaOH, H2SO4. So from the equation we will take the moles. 1 mole of sulfuric acid reacts with 2 moles sodium hydroxide. If we have 0.0025 moles of sodium hydroxide, how many moles of sulfuric acid will be there? So 0.0025, we have to divide this value by 2. Answer will be 0.00125 moles of sulfuric acid. So now in the third step, what we have to do, we have to calculate the moles of the concentration. First of all, convert the value of 16.2 centimeter cube into decimeter cube. For this, we have to 16.2, let me check. Yes. 16.2 divided it by 1000. This is the volume which is given to us of sulfuric acid. Convert the value into decimeter cube. So answer will be 0.0162. Again check it. 16.2. Okay, so these are the value in decimeter cube. Now come towards the concentration is equal to mole over volume. So the value, the number of moles which we have calculated are, these are the number of moles of sulfuric acid, 0.00125 divided by 0.0162. Okay. 0.00125 answer is 0.07716 mole per decimeter cube. So if we will have a look on our options, so B is the correct option, 0.072 mole per decimeter cube. While we are talking about this MCQ, so you all must know what is the answer. 0.0772. So this is the calculation which we have done. Okay, you people can see it. Question number 39. Three liquids X, Y and Z are tested and the results are shown. Add anhydrous copper 2 chloride, blue to pink. X is blue to pink, Y no change, and Z blue to pink. Measure boiling point 100 degrees centigrade, 78 degrees centigrade and 103 degrees centigrade. What may be deduced about X, Y and Z from this information? X is impure. No, it is basically this is the test for the water when cobalt chloride turns from blue to pink, from anhydrous to hydrated one. So it's correct. So at 100 degrees centigrade, when we are talking about this, it means it's pure. If it is not going to take place, it not going to give any change, it means this is not water. Not water. So blue to pink, yes, water. 103 means it has impurity. So impure water is there. So if we will check the pure water is C and D, and Y is impure. D is correct option. So last question of this MCQ, compound Q is soluble in water. A solution of Q gives a white precipitate when dilute sulfuric acid is added. When Q is warmed with aqueous sodium hydroxide and aluminium foil, a gas is produced which turns damp red litmus paper blue. What is Q? Okay, the compound Q is soluble in water. So if it is soluble, we can say it can be an ammonium salt can be soluble, but all nitrates are soluble. But when Q is warmed with sodium hydroxide, let me highlight all the points. When Q gives a solution, Q gives a white precipitate. So with ammonium and with this, we will not, with barium sulfate barium can give us a white precipitate. When dilute sulfuric reacts, it can be barium sulfate. Barium chloride can not be the part of it. Why? Because of the insoluble salt. And insoluble salt is formed by the reaction of soluble salt when we are talking about the precipitates. So barium sulfates are the precipitates which will form from the barium nitrate. When aqueous Q is warmed with sodium hydroxide and aluminium foil, a gas is produced which turns damp red litmus paper blue. So this is the test for nitrate ions. So two ions are confirmed, barium with barium sulfate, and this is the test for the nitrate ions. So this nitrate ions are confirmed with it. So nitrate ions test. So always remember the sheet of salt analysis you all must be memorized, which is given by the end of the syllabus. Why? Because the questions are given in most of the paper 2 and paper 1. So you have to memorize all of those sheets along with their identification of gases, identification of ions, and test of gases and flame test as well. So this is the end of the paper. I hope so that you will learn it well. If you have learned it even a single word, do not forget to subscribe my channel. So consistency is the key of success. Signing off, Miss Aisha Manzoor.